For today's review, we are looking at Hawke Green Arrow. And before I talk about the accessories and the figure, let's take a quick look at the data profile card. And as you can see, there is this beautiful comic book artwork of the character. The source material does come from Green Arrow. And on the backside, you do have your usual read-up for who the character is. And it reads, Hawke was the son of Green Arrow Oliver Queen, although his father did not know of his existence until the two met in the Ashram Monastery during a dark time in Queen's life. Connor showed a natural aptitude for archery and martial arts, and Queen took him under his wing. When he eventually discovered the truth about their connection, Queen was mistrustful of the young man, and before they could repair their relationship, Queen was killed in an explosion. Connor took up his father's mantle as Green Arrow and even joined the Justice League in his stead. After Oliver Queen returned from the dead, Connor was able to bond with him as a son, but their relationship remained fragile. This is a very interesting read-up on who this character is. I did not know Green Arrow had a son, but now I know. So yeah, there's the data profile card. And now let's talk about the accessories. And I'm going to do something similar to what I did last time when we looked at the Hal Jordan armor suit figure. I'm going to compare some accessories here because two of the accessories that are included with Hawke are exactly identical to two accessories that we have seen before. So let's start with his storage thing, whatever this is called. I don't know what the proper term is, but this is where he puts his arrows. It is the same exact accessory that we saw with Arsenal. Everything is the same here. The sculpt, everything. The only difference is pretty much the paint color. So as you can see, the one for Arsenal is in this reddish brown color. And then for Hawke here, it's in the regular brown color. But the sculpting and everything is completely identical. So yeah. In terms of my opinion on reusing accessories, it really depends. Like, if it works for the character, then I'm fine with it. But if it doesn't work for the character at all, then this is really lazy. But in this case, this is a storage compartment for arrows. I guess a reuse is not a problem here. So there is this accessory. As for his arrows, which is in this form of like bunches of arrows, as I like to call it, because I don't know what the proper term is for this, they are also the same sculpt as well, just repainted in a different color. For Hawke, it's all green. There's no contrast. For Arsenal, it is in this reddish brown color, but there is a little bit of a contrast here with the bottom parts of the arrows, which is actually pretty cool. I wish they painted this similarly to what they did with this one right here, but of course they did not. And this is not the first time they've done this. As you can see, these are the arrows that came with the Injustice 2 Green Arrow. And it's also painted in the same way where the colors are completely the same from bottom to the top part of the arrow. So, yeah. Okay, there's that. And I'm going to compare the storage thing again because here's a look at the one that came with the Injustice 2 Green Arrow. As you can see, they are different, right? The sculpt is different. Everything is different here. So, there's that. And then now, when it comes to the bow, I don't remember where I put the Injustice 2 Green Arrow's bow, so I can't find that right now. But for Hawke's bow, this is what it looks like. It's not the same as the one that came with Arsenal. It's a completely different sculpt, which is a good thing. So I like the fact that this one looks more like a traditional bow made out of wood. And you do have this sort of like embezzling design on the top part here of the bow. And it's colored in this like gold paint color as I'm trying to speak here. And yeah, I really like the fact that it's actually different. And also the string part is in this black color paint. So, they could have reused the same bow accessory and just repainted it, but I'm glad they did not do that. And here is the one that came with Arsenal. As you can see, it is very different. This is more, traditional looking where it's made out of wood potentially. And then this one right here is pretty much more modern looking, like it's made out of metal. Very similar to kind of like the style that you see with Oliver Queen's bow in the Arrow TV show. So I do like the fact that we have two different bows here. Now, The one thing I don't like about these figures is the fact that they don't have a singular arrow. And that's kind of like the one running problem in this line whenever we get characters like this. For example, even Mcfarlane, who is coming out soon. Actually, at the time of recording this, there's already reports that figure is actually out in the stores now. So, but Mcfarlane, for example, right, is another bow user. And he doesn't have a single arrow that he can hold between his fingers to look like he's going to shoot an arrow. Like, the fact that you can't do that with these figures and have them pose in that sort of action pose is really bad. And it's shocking because you look back at the Marvel Legends Hawkeye figure that came out with the 60th anniversary. He can do that. He has a way to hold a single arrow and get into some sort of action pose. And I'm like, if Marvel Legends can get that down, how come Mcfarlane can't even do that? So this is the one thing I don't like about the bow user figures, is that you'll never get them into this sort of action pose because they're missing that one accessory that for some reason they will never pack. So just want to get this little rant out there because I'm pretty sure some of you probably will agree with my take here, because it's not great having these guys on your shelf and all they can do is just look like they're about to grab an arrow out of their, storage thing. So, okay, that's pretty much it for accessories, because I don't usually count this thing at all because we always get this anyways. And now let's talk about the aesthetics of this figure. And this body buck is, of course, the same body buck we have seen before with Arsenal, but they did do a little bit of retooling in some areas. So let's talk about the new parts on this figure. So, of course, let's begin with the head sculpt. It's not a bad-looking head sculpt, right? This is supposed to be Connor Hawke, and I think the head sculpt for the design of this character came out pretty good. I like the eye mask he's wearing, very similar to Green Lantern, wearing that sort of thing to cover his eyes. The sculpting of his blonde hair is really nicely sculpted and painted. I do like the wash that they applied to on the top part right there. And of course, the back part of his head sculpt, you do have his eye mask thing, it's all tied up. So I do like this sort of design that's going on here. And in terms of his collar here, I'm assuming this is supposed to be a hoodie, because this is not present on Arsenal. So this entire sculpting of his torso, this top overlay here, where he has the straps, he has this brown sort of outfit that he's wearing over, this is completely new sculpt here. This is the retooling that they did. And if you look closer, I like the sculpting of it because it really looks like it's supposed to be some sort of leather material. Same thing with the belts, right? And they actually painted the belt buckles. Isn't that awesome? Because sometimes they don't paint the belt buckles. They leave it, completely in the same color as the belt. So this time, I'm really glad that they actually painted it in this gold color. So there's contrast to show you that these straps that are on him for whatever he's wearing here, whatever this outfit is called, actually has some realism to it. So I do like that a lot. And yeah, that's basically the top part of the torso and the body here. This is all new here. That's been retooled a little bit, so then the costumes don't look exactly the same as what you see on Arsenal. So I like the changes right here. As for his belt, it is exactly the same belt. It's just repainted in this silver and gold color, which is not too bad. The arms are exactly the same. They've just been repainted with this green color and, of course, a little bit of brown up here. Now, this part over here, this is a new piece. They sculpted this sort of gauntlet here for some reason. And this is the weird thing about this figure, is that it doesn't match up with the source material. Once again, as you can see the picture here, he's wearing a very different costume, right? I don't know which version of Connor Hawke Green Arrow's costume this is from, like what comic it's from, but he has this thing right here, so that's interesting. And then when you go down to his legs, it is the same exact legs that we have seen before as well. Same sculpt, just repainted. But they did retool a little bit down here. So let me take a good look at the other figure to see if there's any differences with the... Okay, it's all they did down here is that they sculpted this part up here to make it look like boots. but everything down here is the same. It's the same exact feet and everything, just painted in this brown color. So there are some slight changes, but most of this figure is exactly the same sculpting that we have seen before on Arsenal. And that's pretty much all the aesthetics on this guy when it comes to new stuff that is retooled on here, and also parts that have been reused. But overall, does it work for Connor Hawke Green Arrow? Yeah, I think this body buck works if you're going for that slender, muscular build. I'm fine with the reuse here, but of course, if you care about accuracy to the source material, well, this is not the figure for you because this is completely different from the artwork. So there's that. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the Arsenal figure so I can actually point out the differences as well, and you can see the differences between these two. So I'm going to start with this comparison first. And the first thing that is quite obvious is the fact that they are painted completely different, right? So when you look at Arsenal, he has a lot of flesh tones on the side of his arms because he doesn't have like a complete sort of like costume that covers his arms. So you see the flesh tone of his skin, his tattoos that are on him. But when it comes to like, the sort of like a gauntlet that he's wearing on his arm, it works for this figure, but then for this one, they just painted it over in this green, which I guess you can say that that's some sort of like, what's the term called? Like the threads on your clothes that are basically like sewn together. I guess it can work in that sense, even though like you can obviously tell that this was supposed to be this right here. So it is interesting how sometimes a repaint can work. And in this case, I don't think it's a bad idea to repaint it over with all green. Yeah, it's okay. Now, for the brown, though, I wish it matched more of the brown color of what you see with the retooled parts for the torso. The fact that it's like a darker shade of brown, maybe not the best here, but, it depends on how you view it. And as you can see down here with the legs, compared to Arsenal, where he does have a bit of color contrast in his costume, Connor Hawke doesn't really have much of a color contrast when it comes to the top parts of his pants. So this is all just green here. And this pouch here is like a red color, so you can tell it's like supposed to be a pouch. They could have painted this brown, right, to break it up so then you can tell it's a pouch, or kept it silver. So there should have been some paint going on in some of these areas that are, kept the same. But yeah, that's basically the differences when it comes to the colors. And of course, the torso is also different as well. Because for this guy, he doesn't have the whole like overlay, as you can see that he's wearing. He's just wearing a normal spandex costume with his own textures. And the head sculpts are completely different, which is a good thing. And the fun part about this is having Roy Harper and Connor Hawke kind of be like a team on your shelf could actually work as well. So that would be an interesting display. And that's pretty much the comparisons when it comes to the aesthetics with these two figures to point out the differences. And that is it. It's not a bad looking figure. I don't hate it. I like some of the changes here, and I'm going to stand by that opinion. Now, let's talk about the articulation of this figure, because we have never talked about the articulation of this body buck before. So let's start with the head sculpt. He cannot look up for the life of him because his head sculpt is literally like sculpted this way with his neck, so he's just going to stay like this all the time, which is not great. He can look down, right? He can turn his head left and right. He can tilt his head side to side. But when it comes to looking up, that is impossible because of how it just runs into that back part of his neck. And I think the sculpting there is just, not great. But of course, it mirrors the same sculpting kind of like Arsenal here, as you can see. So yeah, Arsenal has that same problem as well. It's just the way that the neck is sculpted, which is quite unfortunate. So that's the articulation for the head sculpt. As far as arms, they can go out this much. They can go all the way back, so that's good. They can also double joint. He does have bicep swivel up here. He does have swivel in the hands, and of course articulation in the wrists, as you can see. And for his upper torso, there is really good range of motion on this guy, which is kind of crazy. As you can see, he can lean forward. Not the best. He can lean back pretty good. But when it comes to rotation, it's like all over the place, which is insane. So there's that. As for his bottom rotation, also really loose and free. So that's actually pretty cool, because sometimes most of these figures have very stiff articulation in this area. But for some reason, my copy of this guy, he's loose and not like completely in a bad way. So that's pretty cool. And for his legs, he can spread out this much. Not a bad split. He can kick out this high up, which is actually pretty good. He does have the double jointed in the legs. As you can see, they work. He does have the articulation in the feet, swivel, and toe articulation. And of course, let's see if he has any thigh swivels. Oh, he does. It works on this leg. Not for this one. But if you heat it up, it will work. And that's pretty much all the articulation for this figure. And now I'm going to show him with his accessories. So really simple here. All you do is you just take this, put it on his back, just like that. And then you take his arrows, you just slide them in. My camera probably won't be able to show it properly because there's no lighting in there. But there is like a little tab inside where this actually stays on. You just like press it in there, as you can see. And that's how it goes into the back part. And for his bow, you just have to get it into his hand, which shouldn't be too hard. Oh, there we go. And that's pretty much how you get him to hold his accessories. Now, one thing you do want to be aware of is that his bow is, of course, using soft plastic. So it is going to warp during this hot weather. At the time of recording, it is summertime here in California. So, yeah, not the best in terms of the plastic quality for the bow, which is quite unfortunate. And there he is with all his accessories. And I'm going to get him set up so we can do some quick comparisons. Here he is, next to, of course, Arsenal once again. So you can get a better look at them together. I know he doesn't have his equipment on him, but there it is. And here he is next to his father, Green Arrow. This is my only Green Arrow figure that I have. And, you know, I think it works for this display. I know that is a video game design of him, but you know, he doesn't look too far off from his comic design either. So in this case, I'm fine with just having this one Green Arrow. I did not like the, what was it? The Mcfarlane Toys digital Green Arrow, that classic looking one, because the body book they used for that figure and the legs, like the knees, just looked really ugly. Like it just looked really bad. Green Arrow has never been treated so well in this line, as you can see. So this is probably the best pairing here for me on my shelf, because I don't think I'll ever get that other version because it just doesn't look good personally to me. So this is the Green Arrow that I would just stick with for the shelf. And that's pretty much going to do for the comparisons for today's review. And if you found today's review of the Hawke Green Arrow figure informative, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, it would be much appreciated. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.